Ladies and gentlemen, Mayor Larry Leith.
Thank you. Thank you. It's my pleasure to be able to speak to you today at this Chamber of Commerce forum and speak about the state of the city of Pryor Creek, Oklahoma. Before I do, I'd like to introduce my wife, Pamela. She's sitting right over here. Pam, stand up. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yes, I now have a wonderful big family, and it's great. Well, because it's political season and the streams of political rhetoric are flowing freely around our town, you'll notice that my comments today are accurate and they are shared with transparency. That has been my approach as mayor, and that will continue today. In 2015, our city and many of its citizens participated in the construction of a new comprehensive plan. Many of those collaborative and planning meetings were held between all known stakeholders, where we all, along with the consultant, produced what we now use as our planning and development guide. It's our comprehensive plan of 2017. Upon taking office in May 19, I began to implement our comprehensive plan. Today, components of the comprehensive plan are being implemented through strategic partnerships with Chamber of Commerce, Pryor Main Street, and through our Economic Development Trust Authority, Municipal Utility Board, and city departments. Each of these entities work together to facilitate a planning and economic development machine. I'm very proud of all of these folks who we work with day by day. For example, our waymaking and placemaking project in our downtown corridor is implementation of our comprehensive plan. The city, via our Economic Development Trust Authority, along with partnership with Pryor Main Street, started the project in 2021. Grant monies via Tobacco Settlement Endowment Trust, TSET, and Transportation Alternative Program, TAP, are being combined with downtown corridor bond monies to accomplish this project in phases. This information was communicated in 2021, but as it takes substantial time to put these puzzle pieces together, we are hopeful and expectant for phase one of the project to start this year, hopefully in April. Another comprehensive plan implementation is that many acres of land have been sold and now are either being developed or have plans for development as originally planned. Private and public land on the north side of Pryor Creek received a sewer main extension that opened up and developed possibilities for both retail and residential development. Lands on our east side of town are also being developed for residential, industrial, and retail, and all as prescribed in our comprehensive plan. All of these implementation activities are pure and simple examples of economic development and quality of life improvement in action in our community. And that started with our community having the gumption to put together this plan back in 2015. You may or may not know that in Oklahoma, the only substantial revenue that supports city services is sales tax. Yes, we collect fees on some services, but sales tax is how we fund our streets, our parks, our cemetery, our library, police department, fire department, city hall, city court, and professional services. The city of Pryor Creek has 3 enterprise zones: Municipal Utility Board, Pryor Creek Golf Course, and the Pryor Creek Recreation Center. Recreation Center receives a portion of sales tax as well as revenues from operations. The Municipal Utility Board is completely self-supportive and makes an annual contribution to the City of Pryor Creek General Fund from proceeds from their operations. And by the way, Municipal Utility Board generates sales tax from electricity and natural gas sales. Our golf course is also designed to be self-supportive with an annual contribution from our Capital Improvements Fund. By statute, City of Pryor Creek participates in an annual audit after the previous fiscal year books are closed. The audit is presented to the mayor and city council for review and approval, and then it's filed with state through Mays County channels. That audit, as well as any other document created by our city, is public information and is available to anyone who requests it. The audit that has been in the news lately is not that annual audit that I just spoke about. Also, our budget is not in jeopardy, as some might lead you to believe. An audit of the bond fund receipts and expenditures, as well as an investigation of such, has been ordered by City Council due to an overrun in the Emergency Center and Library Expansion Building Project, which requires additional funds beyond the bond funding to finish the project. In a political season such as the one we're in, the audit and investigation demanded by our mayor and city council are fortuitous and completely appropriate. You'll notice that I said audit and investigation by mayor and city council. I began an audit in the architect's billings well before the demand by city council because I knew that it was necessary and we needed that. Along with an audit of the architect comes an audit of the general contractor and the construction manager. It also goes together. All of it goes together. I would have handled the process in a different manner. However, it's one that I did not place I didn't want to place city councilors nor anybody else in the position to be accused of impropriety. In my humble opinion, that part was unnecessary. It was unprofessional. But as I said, we're in a political season. It's what we sign up for. Our citizens should always be represented with the highest standards of stewardship and transparency. Through my administration as mayor, this has always been my goal and my MO. Goodness, the empowerment of council and our boards and commissions demonstrates this. I don't shut down conversation or avoid questions. The invitation for communication has always been and will always stay wide open in my office or any other time, with a text or with an email or with a phone call that may come any time of the day. Construction of the annual budget, let's talk about that for a minute. Construction of the annual budget starts with mayor and city department heads, normally in the month of March. The mayor confides in and collaborates with our city accountant to be sure there are no hiccups. Then the process begins. Each department head, along with the mayor, takes the time needed to build each of the department's budgets into complete budget draft that includes all of the city departments. That budget draft is presented to the various boards and committees, then to our Budget Personnel Committee, which is made of 3 city council members. The proposed budget is normally first presented in May so that it can be appropriately discussed and debated in committee before being recommended to City Council for approval. The proposed annual budget is sent to our city accountant for review and recommendation prior to presentation to the Budget and Personnel Committee. After the proposed budget is constructed and recommended through channels, it's then reviewed and debated by City Council, who is the final budget approving body. Oversight of the budget's day-by-day and month-to-month function is the responsibility of department heads, mayor, and city clerk. The Budget Personnel Committee receives a monthly budget report at the monthly meeting. In our Budget Personnel Committee meeting culture, the mayor draws attention to the highlights of the budget and gives a monthly sales tax and use tax and tobacco tax report. All financial activity of the city passes through the mayor, city clerk, city council, city accountant, and annually by the city auditor. City clerk, assistant city clerk, and city treasurer handle and organize the funds received and paid out through the year. Now, why am I taking all this time to tell you all these details? Because it's important that everyone hears and understands that every dime that passes through your city system of government has eyes on it from beginning to end through processes defined by state statute, city charter, and city ordinance. Your elected officials, your city employees, professional staff participate in a lawful and efficient system with checks and balances that evaluate and scrutinize monies spent on several levels before the spend request gets to City Council. So the day-to-day operations don't get bogged down. We execute an efficient system that allows for small expenditures that are included within our department's budget. That department head can spend from a line item within their budget any amount under $1,000. Expenditures over $1,000 require mayor approval, and expenditures over $2,500 require City Council approval. At City Council meetings, each purchase order or expenditure must receive a councilor's signature. This system gives full transparency to every dime that's spent. It also allows for questions in a public meeting, no matter what the motivation or question reason might be. Normal decorum in these meetings recognizes that all funds belong to each citizen. All expenditures have been scrutinized through budgetary statutory processes. City councilors have final approval of each invoice that's paid. Many of our city's conversations right now, believe it or not, are flavored with political season rhetoric. We should recognize such and perhaps see the state of our city through lenses that are maybe not colored by anyone's political aspirations, and that includes me. However, these are facts that are undeniable and accurate as they give a picture of the state of our city that has developed over the last 3.5 years. Number one, our sales tax receipts over the past 3.5 years have grown over 9.5%. Our downtown corridor alone, through the leadership of Pryor Main Street and Pryor Area Chamber of Commerce, have impacted over $3 million of new revenues since 2013. But the vast majority of those dollars we see in the last 2 years. The number of new homes completed since May 2019 is 72. For perspective, in 2018, we completed 7. 80 plus neglected and abandoned properties through our code enforcement and abatement efforts have been restored to productivity. 22 of those have gone through our dilapidated and abatement hearings. Number 5, our Planning and Zoning Commission and Board of Adjustment have followed the leadership of city planning and our comprehensive plan of 2017 to open properties north and east for development. Number 6, our Economic Development Trust Authority was established and now leads us in charting growth through economic development. Number 7, our Pryor Main Street and our Economic Development Trust Authority are working, designing, and recommending funding for development of our downtown corridor consistent with our comprehensive plan of 2017. Number 8, our city services have all been enhanced through the acquisition of facilities and equipment and the retention of quality workforce. Number 9, our partnerships with Pryor Public Schools, Mid-America Industrial Park, Cherokee Nation, our American Legion Post, Mays County, Thunderbird Challenge Program, Mays County Health Department, Municipal Utility Board, Northeast Oklahoma Technology Center, GRDA, our sporting associations, Hillcrest Hospital Pryor, Mays County Trails Alliance, RCB Bank, Mays County Hope, and local churches and faith-based organizations all have produced new opportunities of service and new quality of life components for both citizens and guests of Pryor Creek. So I went through all of that to kind of get here. The nuts and bolts, if you got, I'll try to go slow here if you're going to write any of this down. This is some of the financial things. The city's financial position, 2022 to 23. This is July through December. City sales tax, use tax, and tobacco tax revenues for 6 months total $5,763,042, and that's annualized to about $11.5 million in projected revenues. Most of these revenues serve to fund our general fund. The golf course and recreation center are primarily self-supportive. Item B, city total monies currently in grant from the federal government in the form of American Recovery Plan Act, ARPA funds, set at about $1,066,738. These funds are being spent appropriately per the requirements of the federal government. Some are going toward the expense of our emergency center and library expansion project. Item C, city total outstanding bond debt is $12,040,287, and that includes principal plus interest. The principal is $11,505,000. The difference there is the interest. Item D, city total annual debt service. So annual debt service, $1,070,556, or about $89,000 per month. Item E, city total bond revenues collected July through December, $582,378. That averages to about $97,000 a month, and projects about $1,164,000 for the fiscal year. After expenses, we should annually generate about $94,000 this fiscal year toward our bond projects. Our Fund 87 is the cash with cash and reserves on December 31st was $377,887. I don't know if any of those numbers mean anything to you. I feel responsibility to communicate those to you. So there you go. If you have any questions about any of that, I would be very happy to answer. Item G, our downtown corridor bond fund revenues are recorded in our Fund 68, and at the current sales tax levels generates between $10,000 and $11,000 per month. H, city total number of employees, 151. Now that includes employees that have been budgeted. Some of those positions are not filled, but that's what's budgeted. City total number of employees, 151, including full-time, part-time, and a few unfilled positions. They've been budgeted with a budget payroll, including benefits of about $9.2 million. City total assets are somewhere in the neighborhood of $104 million, and that's not including Municipal Utility Board or Pryor Public Schools. Does anybody have any question about those numbers? Hearing none, I'll charge forward. I'd like to talk about economic development and quality of life prospects that are on the horizon. Economic Development Trust Authority. Our EDTA was approved by City Council in 2020, and primarily for the purpose of administrating the Downtown Corridor Bond Fund. Since its inception, EDTA has given direction in guiding those monies while preparing while partnering with Pryor Main Street. Also, EDTA purchased and sold 9 vacant properties that the city had acquired over time. Our EDTA has the ability to do almost anything having to do with economic development, from property acquisition and sales to leasing arrangements to offering grants to sporting associations that use city sporting facilities. All of the activity of EDTA must serve the interests of Pryor Creek, citizens of Pryor Creek, and receive approval of City Council. Your EDTA board members are Adam Anderson, he's chairman, Larry Williams is vice chairman, Ariana Durr, Scott Miller, Daryl Moore, Fred Sordahl, and Don Berger. Jared Crisp and myself sit as ex officio members on EDTA. EDTA meetings are normally the second Monday of each month at 12 noon in City Council chamber. And by the way, the February meeting will be held on the first Monday, which is on the 6th. Our Downtown Corridor Bond Fund, we've spoken about that. Our streetscape and wayfinding project will begin this year, hopefully in April. Our 2019 Bond Fund, as you may remember, there are non-exclusive projects that were identified on that 2019 bond fund. So we know about the emergency services, library expansion. That's almost finished. After our library was operating from the Grand Community Building mid-year through November 22, our librarian and crew are fully operational with their new space. Police department is still moving in, but they are getting really close to being all settled in their new digs. The fire guys are in and they're operating in full force. One of the items on that list was Whitaker Park Pool, and we have acquired architectural plans and are ready to pursue grant funding as well as using bond funds for that project. The third item, the Whitaker Park restroom new restroom was completed last year with bond funds. Item 4, the Grand Community Building renovation, that's on the list, and that is one of those things that is to be determined. 5, soccer complex lighting, that's to be determined. Castle Theater renovation is on the list. An ad hoc committee is working toward making a recommendation to City Council in this regard, and we expect to see that in a couple of months. Pryor Youth Baseball upgrades. There's some very exciting news that's almost ready to be announced in that regard, so stay tuned. The Senior Citizens Center also known as Sertoma Building. Through many donations led by Sertoma Club and the Northeast Oklahoma Freedom Tour personnel, combined with private donations and city funding, our Sertoma Building is now mostly remodeled. It will need a roof someday, and we will address that when the time comes. Number 9 on the list, girls softball field upgrades. So there's a lady named Canberra Fields. You may know her. Did you know that Canberra Fields of the Lakes Area Softball Association came to me in the summer of 2022 and asked about the city's assistance with the field that the city owns? Well, knowing the condition of the bond funds and not wanting to recommend any commitment from there at the time, and also knowing the surplus in our hotel motel tax allocation fund, I encouraged Canberra to petition the hotel motel tax allocation fund for a grant. And she did that, and then she petitioned our Economic Development Trust Authority for a grant. Well, both petitions were successful, and our softball fields are now on the way for much improvement. Our citizens, through our empowered boards and commissions, are able to make a difference and are able to accomplish together what may not be able to be done otherwise. Real proud of them. Another thing with economic development are new homes and lots for building homes and being sold in development known as the Meadows at Stonegate. There's a 300-door multifamily project via Mid-American Industrial Park at the district, and it's well underway. Lots of wood going up out there. It's encouraging to see. Mesa County Trails Alliance is very active in pursuit of grant monies for development of our Mesa County Trails plan as it partners with City of Pryor Creek, Pryor Area Chamber of Commerce, RCI Insurance Group, Mesa County Hope, Pryor Main Street, Grand Gateway, Cherokee Nation, Mid-American Industrial Park, GRDA, Google, and Olson Engineering. My goodness, the Trails Alliance has been meeting each month, and all the people that are represented at those meetings makes you proud to serve with them, and they're very active. In fact, there was a grant that was announced yesterday. Isn't that right, John? There was a grant that was announced yesterday that we've been working on. So stay tuned about the Mesa County Trails Alliance and development of those trails. Next item is Salt Branch Creek. Floodplain improvements are ready for phase 2 of this, probably this spring. And then some drainage improvements are still in the plans for Southeast 7th Street and Bailey Street, hopefully to begin this spring. Now, I hope I'm not putting you to sleep. I'm giving you a lot of information, but you said you wanted to understand the state of the city. So I'm just going to continue going here. I've got a few more minutes left. Let's talk about partnerships. Mid-American Industrial Park, this partnership of 80 years has changed and grown to the point where our combined efforts are so mutually aligned that when one goes after a component of their mission, the other says, please let me know how I can help. And that goes both ways. Citizens from the Four Corners work and gain their livelihoods from employment at one of the world-class manufacturing facilities located at Mid-American Industrial Park, which is a top 10 industrial park in the world. Mayors from the Four Corners, also known as Pryor Creek, Choteau, Locust Grove, and Salina, and additionally from Adair and Langley. We gather to collaborate as to how we can partner with Mid-American Industrial Park and how they might also partner with us. This partnership is vital for all of us, not only for the families that are supported by employment there, but for every family and resident of the Four Corners. Rooftops within our Mesa County communities add population that supports sales tax revenues that improve the facilities, streets, parks, law enforcement, fire protection, medical care, library systems, and all the quality of life components in our communities. This past year, Mid-American Industrial Park began investing more deliberately in our communities. As they grow, we will grow. As they grow, our borders will fill and expand. The mutual benefit of our partnership, Pryor Creek and Mid-American Industrial Park, is growth together with population density and manufacturing jobs. Pryor Creek has the components, the best school district in the region, and an environment of development in quality of life initiatives and economic development. These are components that make the partnership thrive. Partnership with Cherokee Nation. Our connection and partnership with Cherokee Nation is valuable both ways. Pryor Creek is in the northern part of the Cherokee Nation, and almost half of our citizens are Native American, mostly Cherokee. This year, we have participated in numerous grants with Cherokee Nation, our outdoor fitness center, our ball fields, roadways, and more. The painted horse in our library museum is a wonderful reminder of our heritage and connection to the Cherokee. I want to talk about Municipal Utility Board. Now, these guys are sitting right down here, really close, so I'm going to be nice. Y'all going to be nice too. Municipal Utility Board and City of Pryor Creek work side by side and hand in hand on streets and parks, with developing properties through economic development, through sharing expenses and revenues, through city planning, through partnership with GRDA and Mid-America Industrial Park. We don't compete for funds. We assist the other in building funds so that each citizen is served economically and efficiently as possible. Our planning and collaboration serve to make each citizen stronger. I've said it before and I say it again, Municipal Utility Board is a flagship utility provider in the state and in the region. It's a wonderful pleasure to work with Jared Crisp and his staff of professionals. We are all truly spoiled with Municipal Utility Board, and we like it that way. I heard an amen back there. Pryor Public Schools. Many times over the past few years, I've met with our superintendent of schools, Dr. Raleigh, and now Dr. Muller, in several venues for the purpose of coordination of sporting fields, sharing economic development information, collaboration over city planning, welcoming new businesses to town, or connecting with potential new business. Selling someone on moving to town where public schools are concerned is a pleasure and an honor from my point of view. We should all take every opportunity to support and build up Pryor Public Schools, for we have a jewel in our town that shines bright for all to see in Pryor Public Schools. I'd also like to talk about something that maybe is a little bit hard. Area mental health, addiction, and social services. Our community has an agency called Grand Lake Mental Health. Some of you will be more familiar with them than me. When we speak about our homeless population growing, we should also understand that this agency's mission is to help meet the needs of those with mental health issues. That's the condition of many of our homeless. Our law enforcement and mental health caregivers work together in the really hard job of knowing how to help folks with these issues. We seek answers together, and sometimes we are successful with the help we give, and the recipient of the care is not only the mental health patient, but each citizen, because of the hard work these professionals do among us. Now, most of the time we just see the problems. Do you know we don't see the successes? And they happen every day because of all these agencies that work. Most of the time, we only hear the problems that arise. Successes cannot be shared due to HIPAA and those constraints. Sometimes a law enforcement officer carries a patient to a shelter in another town or to a psych unit in another town. Do you know that there are well over 30 different agencies working among us in this space of mental health, addiction, and homelessness? I'm going to name the ones that I know of, and there are others that I don't know of. Hope Pregnancy Center, North Star Church, Pryor Ministry Center, Hope for Hearts, Sertoma Club, Pryor Creek, Meals on Wheels, Rotary Club, Senior Nutrition Center, Celebrate Recovery at Resurrection House of Prayer, Cherokee Nation Career Development Department, Cherokee Nation TTANF. I'm sorry, I don't know what that means, but that's on the list. Fostering Pryor, the Impact Center, Men's Sober Living, Kingdom Closet, Mays County Hope, Mays County Youth Basketball, Multi-County Coalition, New Life Ranch, Oklahoma Employment Security Commission, Oklahoma Fosters, Oklahoma Human Services, Parkside Psychiatric Hospital, Ray Family Foundation, ROCMND Youth Services, SafeNet Services, Second Chance Recovery, Women's Outreach of Hope, Word Fellowship Church, EMTs, Emergency Management, and First Responders. The ones that I didn't name are the many churches that minister in many ways in the name of Jesus Christ because of His example and His empowerment through authentic Christianity working right here in Pryor Creek among us. If there are any heroes among us, in my opinion, these are the ones. City of Pryor Creek, through your mayor and our other elected officials, partner with these organizations in any way possible so that they know that our citizens do not forget them and they know what they do for our community. In closing, before I do that, we have a little bit of time for a few questions. If anybody has a question, I'd be happy to field a question. Houston, I'm scanning the room. When I said in closing, you said, "Oh, don't ask a question. Get him down from there." In closing, it's been my wonderful pleasure to serve you and to be able to give you this truly good report on the state of our city. After all the challenges of COVID-19 and that scourge that brought those components our way, well, we've been steadfast and we have thrived on many fronts. And I can't tell you how much a pleasure it is to be able to serve a community like Pryor, Oklahoma. This is because as a community, we care for one another. We care for our history. We do not only look back and reflect, we look forward with certainty of progress because that's the way we in Pryor Creek are wired. That's the way we're wired. Sometimes a naysayer's voice will be loud. The louder voice is the one of production, improvement, empowerment, and stewardship that leads an environment better after his or her involvement than it was before. That's the Pryor Creek I live in. When I see those around me taking initiative to work hard on behalf of those paying their wage, our city department heads and the employees serving with them, I have hope that we are in this together and we are rowing this boat the same direction. No, I don't live in my own little bubble. I live among our workers and among our boards and our commissions and our city council. I live among our partners, pulling with them and they with us. Thank you for your time today. May God bless you and may God bless the city of Pryor Creek. Thank you.